Well, I've had a couple of requests to show the fluorescent light and the electrical work in my shed. So, well, actually, let me step outside. I'm going to try not to make that big a deal because they're doing a private showing at the house next door, which is still for sale. It's taken forever for that house to sell. But anyways, if you walk into the shed was, I think it was built by the previous owners of the house, and they just basically just ran a cable out from underneath. If you look over here on the side of the house, this is the wall where the living room is. There's the window. Right there, behind that little pipe thing, you can sort of see the cable coming out of the wall. And that's, yeah, right there. And this is from the crawl space. But the cable runs underneath the ground, and you can see it actually popping up here. We actually need to bury this cable a little bit lower in the ground because that is not to code. This cable should actually be enclosed in conduit. See, you can see it right there too. And then it just runs around the sidewalk here and over to the shed. And basically they built the shed themselves, the previous owner. So the fluorescent light we have in here is right here. It's a preheat fluorescent light. It's very old. It's a single tube, but it's a very long tube. So yeah, single tube, and then the cable runs down there around the window to this switch right here. It's a really old bakelite switch, and you click it. I'm gonna turn it on. It has a really pronounced click, like that. It's really pronounced. So go ahead and turn on the light so you can see it start up. There it is. Now it's on, and then we turn it back off. And yeah, and the tube just comes out like that, and there's the starter cap right there. Now let me see if I can get the tube back in. I should not have done this. So I'm never going to be able to get this back in. Okay, well, let me pause the camera while I put the tube back in. Okay, I got the tube back in. So let's turn it on one more time. Watch it start up. There it goes. And you can't really see it that well, but it does do a good job of lighting up this place. I was hoping maybe someday to put another one on that side, but I don't know. So yeah. So anyway, the cable from the crawl space comes up through the floor right there, and it goes over, loops down to this, and this is a really old bakelite outlet. And this is actually to code, I think, at least I'm pretty sure. The box, and then there's like a wire connector, and then the wire runs up here. Okay, so then there's two wires. One of them runs up here to the lights. This is for the outside lights, the one right here, and then the other one right there. And the sensor up there, the light sensor. So that, and then the other wire coming out of the outlet runs that way, and then it runs up the wall here through the little wood beams, and that goes to this right here. And this is a old bakelite. It's half switch and half plug. The switch is obviously, as I just showed, for the fluorescent light, and the plug is just a regular plug. So one wire behind this perforated wall board here is one wire coming in from that outlet, one wire going up to the switch, from the switch to the fluorescent tube light, and then one more wire going down here, and that curves around there, and it ends at another outlet box right here. You can sort of see it right there, yeah. And that's also an old bakelite outlet, and it also is to code, I think. What I wanted to do was probably replace these outlets and the outlet and switch with something much better, since these are kind of old. and I need to upgrade them. At least the wiring is all done to code, at least, hopefully. It is stapled to the wood, which is really good. So, now let me show you the strange thing. Now that's the only thing that I think that is to code. Now let me show you what isn't to code. Basically, whoa, just almost dropped the camera. These exterior lights are not to code, and the sensor, they're not to code. And that is, you can see the wire runs up here to this. What's this? This is a Sears time switch. But you saw that there's a light sensor right there. So the lights go on at dusk and stay on until dawn. Well, this is something strange that the previous owner did. If I open up the Sears time switch box, you can see that there's no time switch in here. Basically what he did was I'm guessing that at one time these lights were controlled by a timer, and then the previous owner might have decided to switch them to light sensor so that they'll stay on all night. And so basically he just reused the old Sears time switch box and just used it as a junction box. And the wires for the light go through that hole right there where it's like weather sealed or whatever. They go through that hole right there, and wires come out here to this box, and they're connected. One of them goes up to the sensor, goes to the wire over the door going to the other light there. This is not to code. What should be here, instead of this old Sears time switch box, there should be a junction box, and it should be a big hole should be cut right on the other side of this wall through here. There should be a box there that the light itself should be attached to. Right now the light is literally just attached to the plywood board here. That is not to code. Also, one thing I had to do is I had to seal up around the light with some caulking, because water could get in behind this and rust the light mounting bracket and possibly get in behind here and rot the wood. So I had to seal behind here, the sensor, and the other light on the other side of the wall, the door, whatever. But this is just, I found this was really funny, because I thought that there was an actual timer in here at once, and then I finally opened it, I'm like, there's no timer in here. And it was installed in 1979, it's dated right up there. That's, I'm guessing the previous owner wrote that. Whoa, okay, yeah. It's a really windy day right now. I need to keep this door open, hang on a second. Yeah. It's really windy, as you can hear. But yeah, so that was put in 1979, so I wish that he'd kept the timer here. This would be really cool. And of course there's the old Sears logo and this really cool, I love these. Anyway, the other thing that's not to code is the sensor. The sensor is also once again screwed just onto the plywood, or maybe not even that, maybe just the siding here. And I had to caulk around that too because that was gonna leak. And the sensor is original. The sensor is actually not a replacement. These light fixtures are not original. We replaced these about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Originally there were these cheap plastic light fixtures that were just crumbling, and they just looked ugly. So we replaced them with these metal ones with the jar style globe. The sensor, however, remained the same. And yeah. So the sensor is actually mounted right onto there, and there's just a box just slapped onto this wood here, which is actually that's not the code. Once again, the box should actually be cut through, and the sensor should be attached to this box. The wood actually should not be dividing this. So the sensor should be attached to this box, and this box should be screwed securely. I mean, it is screwed pretty securely, but it shouldn't be just slapped on the back of that box. And there's probably just a hole. I don't know, I've never opened that box up. I have opened that box up before when we were replacing the fixtures. But open up this, it's probably just like that. The wires from the sensor coming in the hole, and then they're in that box with wire nuts, and then one is going up over the door to the other light. One of them's coming down to the light here, and then the other one's probably going down to the main power supply. The other light is actually done the same exact way as the sensor was. box is just slapped on that plywood, and then the wires are coming in through a hole in the back. And it's just not to code. This needs to be fixed. Before we move, we're probably going to have to fix this. I mean, we're probably obviously going to have an inspector come out, and he's probably going to say that this is not to code. But anyway, other than that, everything seems pretty good. Yeah, this box is also a little loose. Let me turn on that fluorescent light so that you can actually see. That helps a little bit. It actually helps a lot more than I thought it would. But this box is pretty loose. It needs to be secured more tightly. So, of course, you all know about my fan testing mount, which I put in myself. Ran the cable. I ran the cable from the fan over here, and the hook thing there, and then another hook down here, and it plugs into the power strip right here, which turns on. And then that just plugs in down there to the outlet. So, overall, this shed, the electrical needs work, but I guess back in 1979 or whenever this was installed, this actually was to code, but now this needs to be replaced with new wiring, or at least needs to be modified. Like, these boxes need to be cut all the way through the wall. Another thing that I noticed was that what was it? There's actually like no ventilation system up in this attic roof. Like no fan up there or anything. I mean, I have this fan here, but that obviously we turned this off. But the window actually kind of does some ventilation, but because we can't close it, the closing thing is right in there, and we recently had this window weather sealed, so no bugs can get in. I mean, obviously they can get into this screen here, but we really need to find a way to shut that window. Yeah, so that's my video showing you the electrical work in my shed. And if I find any more bad electrical work in my house, because there was a lot of bad electrical work when we moved in, if I find any more bad electrical work, I will make a video and show you all. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I will be showing you more soon. Bye.